A very warm welcome. Um, a very warm welcome to everyone present here. So let's just begin the journey towards a Flutter. So we have with us very great speakers to join us in the session. We have with us Karan, that
Hi
is a full
guys.
stack developer of Flutter, as well as he's a freelancer and a YouTuber. We have with us Himanshu. He's also a full stack developer. So we are collaborated with various Google Developer Student Club, that is DSC Student SAP Nagpur, that is St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Google Developers Government College of Engineering Nagpur, Institute of Technical Education and Research, as well as Sanjeevani College of Engineering and Nagpur, along with Modern Institute of Engineering and Technology, um, and Cummins College of Engineering Nagpur. So these are our DSC collaborators for the event. So instructions are like, basically, if you complete a 7-day workshop, that is, if you complete throughout the 7 days with all the quizzes and all the stuff with it, you will get a certificate of completion. Otherwise, if you are interested in only a particular day wherein you want to learn only widgets or other stuff, so you will be getting a participation certificate. So without any further delay, let's dive into Flutter and begin our journey towards it. Without any further ado, I would like to tell Karan and Himanshu to take the event further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sania. And Himanshu, you could just start with the
Yeah,
first
we'll
slide.
just, yeah, sure. So guys, basically today we are going to cover few of the topics in the Flutter, okay? And rest of the topics will be covered in upcoming days. So I would like to give a short intro on all those topics. So first of all, guys, we are going to learn about the Dart, okay? Actually, Dart is a programming language which we are going to use in the Flutter framework, okay, in order to build the applications. Then after that, we are going to have a look what exactly the Flutter framework is. Okay. Then we are going to look towards the installation and setup of the framework because it's really necessary. Okay, to learn all those things in order to start your journey. Okay. So let's begin our session. So first of all, guys, I'd like to tell you about the Dart. Okay. So Dart is kind of object-oriented programming language. Okay, it was being introduced by the Google in 2011. Okay, until the date, it's been evolving. Then after that, the command was Dart to native. Okay, in order to compile the source code for the Dart. Okay, now it's been replaced with the Dart compile. Okay, so guys, it actually allows us to compile on the multiple platform like Windows, Linux, macOS. Okay, as a desktop application. Like you can directly install it on your system. Okay, whatever the operating system you've been using, you can directly use that. So guys, what exactly Dart do is like consider we are just running the code like you've been using the different type of programming languages like Java, okay. Then after that C, CPP, okay. So what are the programming language concept you know about the object oriented? Okay, so all those things will be used here. So if you are familiar with any of those languages or you've used prior, like the object-oriented programming, so it will be a lot easier for you to understand the complete session. So let's move toward the other slide, okay?
Sania, you can move to the next slide. And guys, if you have any programming knowledge, previous programming knowledge, you can just tell in the chat. Or if you are new to programming, you can tell that as well because we'll have to, accordingly, we'll have to tell about the Dart basics or we'll have to start directly with Flutter. So that will be helpful if you guys just tell us in the chat if you are familiar with programming, you are familiar with the object oriented concepts and everything. I'll be waiting here if any one of you tells about any programming experience, previous programming experience.
Okay, so guys, after this, we are going to see what exactly Dart do in the Flutter. Okay, so here, guys, Dart is a programming language, okay, which you can basically use to build the Flutter application. So the Flutter application basically runs on all those devices which you are using now. Like it can run on the Windows, Mac OS, Linux, okay. Then after that, iOS platform and Android. Okay. So guys, the most popular language of the years for now it's Flutter. Okay, because like you can build many more applications for different platform in a single language. Okay, so definitely it's going to help you a lot. Like if you want to run it in the browser, so the code can be compiled into a JavaScript. Okay, so that you can run it on the browser easily. Then after that, guys, you can run it on the iOS as well as the Android devices. Okay, because the final whatever the application you've been created, okay, it will get exported into the particular APK or the iOS IPA. Okay, that's the installable files for the particular platform. Okay, or else you can directly export it to the web platform. So guys, let's move to the next one. So guys, now you might be wondering that how does the Flutter works? Okay, so its syntax is like quite similar to whatever you've been using, like Java, Swift, or Kotlin, if you are used in the Android applications. Okay, so basically, guys, the Dart Software Development Kit, that is the SDK, okay, Software Development Kit, it's actually a standalone Dart virtual machine, okay, which we call as VM. Okay, that allows to build the code in the command line interface. Like you might be familiar with the command line interface, those who are using it in the Linux, okay, or the Mac OS, because most of the time we've been using the command line interface in order to run whatever the command you want. Like if you want to install some of the libraries or anything, like some of them must be familiar with the Python. Okay, so in Python we basically install the libraries using the CLI tools, like pip install is the command. Same here in the Dart also you can run much more things using the command line interface, that is your the terminal and CMD. Okay, so now guys, there is one more thing to know. Okay, so there is the utility called as the Dartpad. Okay, so Karun will definitely tell you about what exactly the Dartpad is. Okay, it's the online utility in which you can directly run the Dart code. Okay, without anything else. Directly, it's in your browser, nothing else. Okay, so Karun will just show you a short intro about the Dartpad.
Yes, of course, of course.
Please show them.
Uh, if I may just share my screen, Sania. So you guys can see my screen, right? You guys can tell me in the chat. Okay, so is my screen visible, Himanshu?
Yes,
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 I
screen is
guess.
visible, Karun.
Yeah, so this is Dart. Okay, first of all, this is the. I mean, if you a few guys are saying that they are new to programming, and few guys are saying that they have worked with JS and C++. So if you guys if you guys can understand what this code is, this is a main function, and we are writing loops inside it. We are writing print statements. So this is basically a short what we can say a mini IDE. Okay, which is inside a Chrome browser, inside the Chrome browser, right? So we are writing our code here. So in the same way, what we can do is we can just switch the code panel from here and introduce this counter app here. So this is the Flutter code, and the particular code is used for running an application. You can see the application is right here. Okay, this is called the demo app or the counter app. This is the basic default app that comes with the Flutter project that you have freshly created. Okay, so what is this? This is an online IDE called as Dartpad. You can edit the code here. Okay, so if I write here, I just run here, though that particular change that I just wished to create, it's changed here. Okay, so this is a particular you can say ID in a browser that you can use to practice your coding with Flutter and Dart. If if you are not have installed Flutter and Dart inside your system, or you are facing any problems, or you just want to try out, while for example, if you guys you guys are seeing this session and you want to practice a few codes that we are giving, you can just practice it on Dartpad. I'll push the link in the description or the comments. Okay, you can just open the Dartpad from there, and you whatever we tell in this upcoming sessions, you can just try it out on the Dartpad. And if you want to install, you can just install it. We'll definitely tell you about the installation process today itself, and it is going to take some time, but after some time you'll get it installed, and you can just practice and start developing applications. So Himanshu, over to you.
Yeah. So guys, there was a quick intro about the Dartpad. Okay, so that's the most useful utility if you are not having the Flutter or Dart installed on your system. Okay, because some of you might be like visiting those web pages from the mobile and everything, so you can't install the Dartpad on the mobile platform. Okay, so you can directly visit from the browser, and there you can simply run it. Okay, so it would be a lot easier. But yeah, I won't suggest you to run it on the mobile phone, because definitely you are going to face some difficulties in typing all those things. Okay, so guys, before installing it on your system, okay, so you can directly go to the Dartpad and write your code over there. Okay, so now let's move to the other session. So please change it.
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, so
Yeah,
guys,
so that's all right.
we will just continue it from over here. Okay, so basically, guys, the Flutter framework was being revealed by the year 2015. Okay, so when it was being revealed at that time, its original name was Sky. Okay, and it used to run only on the Android operating system. It was not being introduced to the iOS. Okay, so only the Android users were able to run the Flutter. That is the by the code name Sky. Okay, then after that, guys, the first stable release. Okay, it was actually on 4th of December 2018. Okay. Then after that, there are two things. Okay, guys, remember Dart and Flutter. Okay. So Dart is the programming language which we are going to use it in the Flutter. Okay. So don't get confused that Dart and Flutter is totally like what is this? Okay. So yeah. After that, there were different versions for the Flutters too, along with the Dart. Okay. So after that, they introduced the Metal API. Okay. So now you might be wondering what exactly this Metal API is. Okay. So basically, guys, Metal API is like for the iOS users. Okay. Like for the developers who have been developing in the Apple. Okay. So like if you're building something like the iOS application, in that case, you might be like familiar with this Metal API. Okay. So I'll just give you a short intro what exactly the Metal API is. Okay, so basically Metal is a low level, okay, hardware accelerated 3D graphic. So now you might be wondering that what is this? Few of you might be familiar with the OpenWebGL and everything. Okay, so it's basically being used to render the 3D graphics on the web. Okay, so similar kind of the Metal API does is like consider that you want to render something. Okay, so on the hardware level, okay, it's going to accelerate your graphics. So that's what the Metal API does. Okay, so it's basically built for the Apple product itself. Okay, it's not going to run on any other devices. Okay, then after that, as I mentioned earlier, that when you are building the application in the Flutter, okay, so at that time you can run it on the iOS as well as the Android device. So you might be wondering that why to use the Metal API then if we are not even building the application for the Android. Okay, so the thing is totally being managed by the Flutter. Okay, in that we don't have to manage anything. Like we don't need to integrate the Metal API in that in order to like run the application in this smooth. Okay, so there, guys, it's really simple. We don't have to manage anything, and you just have to code and run. Okay, so whenever you are going to build the APK or the IPA for that particular code, it's going to integrate automatically all those things in that. Okay, so now, guys, let's move to the other part. So basically, guys, the Flutter framework, okay, it's being built using the C, C++, okay, and lots of guys must be familiar with C, C++, okay, because they're like the most used languages all over, okay. So guys, the framework is being built on the C++ and C, okay, and it actually uses the SIA graphic engine by Google, okay, for the UI interface rendering. So guys, like as earlier, Karan has shown you the graphics, okay, for the application, okay. So the whole thing is being maintained by the Google SIA graphics engine, okay. So what you are going to see, it's going to render using this, okay. Then there are lots of product based on this, okay, like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and all those, okay. Then after that, guys, uh, as I mentioned earlier, that uses VM, okay. Also, it's basically a just-in-time code compilation, okay. So now you might be wondering what this is, like JIT, okay. So guys, JIT is nothing but consider that every time you write the code, okay, whether it's in the Swift for the iOS and Java or Kotlin for the Android. Okay. At a time, every time you write the code, you have to just like build the application or run it on the device. Then again, you make some changes in the code, and again you run it on the device. Okay. That's like bit you can say lengthy process. Okay. And it's going to consume a lot of time while development. So guys, this concept helps us by giving the hot reload feature in the application. Now, guys, you might be wondering how does the hot reload work? Like, consider you just build a simple screen, okay, like the hello world. Then after that, you just replace it with some other text, hello Flutter, okay. And if you just save it, it's going to directly change it in the application, okay. That's what JIT is, okay. So it's going to save your time while building the application, okay. So now guys, you know what exactly the Flutter is, okay. So there are lots of things like the stateless and all those things. So we are going to take each and everything, okay. So guys, don't worry about that. So now let's move to the other section, guys.
Yes, Kshitij, we can share the PPTs. Yes, of course, I'll convey this. And are there any doubts regarding the previous slides that Himanshu explained, or if there is something that you want to ask? Sumit has asked that what is null safety. Null safety is something that we'll get to know further ahead, because first of all we'll have to understand how Flutter works, how you build things, and after that only you will get to understand what null safety is, because null safety is a kind of error handling mechanism. Okay. Null errors are something which occur when there is no data in a particular variable, or there is no data to show, and where the data is expected but there is no data. At that point only we use null error handling mechanisms like null safety, and it is default with the new Flutter version. You can just if you want to skip null safety, and you don't want to practice null safety, you can just change the SDK version in the popspec.yaml file. It's a file in the Flutter project. Okay, you can just change that from the popspec.yaml file. So
So guys,
do you
I
have?
would like to just tell a bit about that. Okay. So as
Yeah,
Karana already mentioned a lot of things. Okay. There's a little thing. Okay. Like if you have been coding in the Java. Okay. At that time there are lots of things. Like you might getting the error like null pointer exception. Okay.
yeah,
That's
right.
how the Dart solves the problem. Okay. So you just have to make the changes as mentioned by the Karan in the popspec.yml file. Okay.
Yes.
So you
And
can
it's
direct.
it's it's recommended that you use null safety, because null errors are something they are they are like nothing, but it creates a big problem. It's a minimal thing, but it creates a big problem. That's why it's recommended to use null safety, but not at the beginning or the starting stage, because it might get confusing for you using the null safety and everything. Just first learn everything, and then you can start learning null safety and other mechanisms there are in Flutter and Dart. You guys can ask questions. We'll try to answer it right away. You guys can just ask questions. We'll, wait before start. Moving forward, or we can. Himanshu can just start speaking about our current slide about widgets and everything. Himanshu, you can continue, and if any question comes up, I'll tell you and we'll answer that question.
Sure. Okay. So guys, basically, that virtual machine uses the ahead of time compilation. Now you guys might be wondering that first it was like JIT, then after that it's AOT. What are these concepts? Okay. So just remember, guys, in a simple language, that if you are using the JIT, okay, that is just in time, it's being used for the hot reload feature. Okay. Then after that, whenever the term comes AOT, that is the ahead of time. Okay. So remember that it's the feature. Okay. That's the Dart is providing, which is basically going to compile all those code into the native platform. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, that there is no specific like different type of application being built for Flutter. Okay. It's the same. It's going to be APK in Android. Okay. Or AAB, that is the Android app bundle. Okay, or else it's going to be the IPA, which is going to be the iPhone application, okay, which is going to be built for the Apple devices. So guys, basically these are the concepts for the like AOT and JIT. Okay, so don't get confused between those two. Okay, just remember AOT, which is going to like compile the Dart code into native platform, and if you're going with the JIT, okay, so it's going to provide you the hot reload feature. That's it. Just remember those things. Then after that, guys, now let's get back to the Flutter. So guys, in Flutter, everything is a widget. Now you guys might be wondering that what this widget is. Okay, the complete application is also a widget in Flutter. Okay, so now consider, guys, I'll just give you a short intro. Okay, uh, there is the application like you have seen prior, that is the counter application. In that application, we used to click the particular button and it's like increasing the counter over there. Okay, so basically, guys, this button, the text and everything, even the text is the widget in the Flutter. Okay, so guys, remember that whatever you are going to deal with, it's a widget, nothing else. Okay, so now I just hand it over to the Karan. Okay, so he will just guide you through the complete widget tree.
Thank you, Himanshu. And we'll move forward from here. And as Himanshu told, in Flutter, almost everything is a widget, and you'll be wondering what widget is. So, what widget is? It's a basic building block. Okay, it's a basic building component by joining widgets and laying out widgets in this is your phone screen, and you lay out components on your phone screen on the screen, and it builds an application. So the individual components that we are laying, those are called widgets. Suppose for example, I'll give an example. If you want to show some text on the screen, and if you want to show some image besides this besides the text, so I'll say that the text is a widget and the image is a widget, and there's a space between them, right? So that space is also some kind of widget. It's called spacer, and there are multiple things that there are. And so I'll say that everything individual component is a widget in Flutter, and using widgets only we are going to build the applications. So what's your concern with the widget? So you'll have to learn different kinds of widgets, and the most important types of widgets like text, container, column, and image and video. These are timing of this workshop. Okay. So workshop timing is 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. From Monday to Sunday, and this will be conducted tomorrow as well from on the same timing. And yeah, as I was saying that there are individual components. Every other component in your screen that's shown on your screen is a widget. And what's your concern with it? It's that you have to learn different types of widgets. What are the different types of widgets? What are the most important ones? And you have to remember them. You'll have to I won't say you'll have to memorize them, but still you have to learn about them, and you'll have to learn about their properties and everything, so that you'll be able to modify those widgets according to your need, and you'll be able to lay out a particular screen, a particular application on your mobile phone. That is something related to widget in Flutter. And I would say, yeah, let's move back to the previous slide. Okay, so as it says, a widget can be unique button style element or a separate pop-up screen, etc. So as I was saying, you can modify the widgets using style and this style and everything other features that the widget has, and we'll get to know about it on the Dartpad only in today's session only. Let's see, a widget tree concept is basically an implementation of nested widgets. So what nesting means? Nesting means that like you have the text and you have the image. The previous example that I gave, you have a text, you have space between it, and you have image. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll put it inside a row only. Okay, so that it will be horizontally placed. So what you're doing is you are putting widgets inside a widget, right? A widget inside another widget. It's called nesting of widgets. So that's what we are trying to say here, that you'll develop the complete layout and the complete application by nesting of widgets and placing widgets side by side and inside each other, and that will be how you'll be building the application. And these widgets could be stateless and stateful. What's the difference between the stateless and the stateful widgets is that how we can see, if you want to display something that is not going to change, okay, that is which is not going to change after, even after clicking, or even after, something happens in the backend or background, so the screen is not going to change, that will be something called as stateless widget. And if you want to change something on the screen when a user clicks on something, you want to navigate, or not navigation but something, if there's a text written on the screen and you want to change it when the user clicks on some other button, so that in that case you'll have to use a stateful widget, in which the state changes of the screen, that is the screen present on your mobile phone, that the state of that screen changes. In that case you'll have to use a stateful widget. So the most interesting thing about Flutter is the user interface components, and that were delivered with the latest releases. Yes, this is something interesting here. So Google manages Flutter, right? So it is continuously giving updates to Flutter framework, and it's completely, revolutionizing the Flutter hybrid application building frameworks. And in the latest release and in the latest update, it released that support for material the material UI is something that is going to come up ahead in time. Okay, in after some time you'll get to know about the material UI. It will be launched, and Flutter is going to, support it well and nice with the latest release. Okay, so first thing is that if Google is supporting and Google is developing Flutter, then it has scope in future, and it has, many opportunities to come in future. That's why people usually refer and prefer Flutter, because of this case only, that Google is supporting and developing Flutter. So guys, let's move on to the installation of Flutter. And first of all, I'll be sharing this link in comments. Okay, through this link you'll be able to go to that website where you'll be able to install and download Flutter. So guys, in chat, if you could just tell, if you had any difficulty regarding any slides, any previous slides, any concept that we have discussed so far. So is there any difficulty that you are facing, or tool to develop the interface of an application? Okay, so widget is not a tool to develop. Actually, take it as like, okay, Flutter is a tool to develop the application, and widgets are the what we can say, the blocks, or the, yeah, we can say tools, but we'll be able to, actually Flutter is a tool and the widget is component of Flutter. Okay, Flutter is made up of widgets. That's how you'll, the analogy is like that. But you can say, in some case you can say that widget is a tool, but there are multiple widgets. The thing is that there are multiple widgets.
So guys, you can consider it as the basic building block. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, widgets are the building blocks because there are multiple widgets. As I said, as I gave the example, that if you want to add a text, there's a widget called text. If you want to add an image, there's a widget called image. That's like that. They are the building blocks to build an application. Okay, Kshitij, I think Kshitij has understood. Any other questions that you want to ask? Okay, so I think we can just move on. So if it's if it's okay, we can just move on to installation. And first of all, let me just stay clear here, and we'll have to leave the link in the description or in the comments, where you can just go to that website and you'll be able to see. So you can see this. A second. So I think you cannot see my screen. One second, I'll just sort this issue. So Himanshu, can you answer this question about Metal API?
Yeah, so I'll just explain you once again, okay, the concept of Metal API. Okay, like if you use any of the web engines, okay, like the OpenWebGL, which basically renders the 3D graphics over the web, okay, that's basically used for the acceleration, okay. So you know that they're going to take a lots of memory in the RAM, okay. So it's really hard for the low-end devices to render all those things over the OS, okay. So guys, the thing is, the Metal API is basically going to provide you the acceleration to the overall component, whatever the 3D component you are going to render it over the application. Okay, so it's basically being used in the Apple. Okay, it's not being used in the Android because yeah, definitely Apple is not providing the open source for all those things, so they are not available for the other devices. And it's basically hardware accelerated. Okay, it's not like that you can use it in the any of the devices. Okay, so if you just consider that iPhone or iPad or whatever you are using, okay, so there guys, this Metal API is already integrated in that application, okay, because Flutter uses it, so you don't have to worry about like installing that dependency and everything. So is it clear now, or should I give you an example? Okay, there's the question from Karthik. Will we be building something in these 7 days? Yeah, definitely we are going to build the applications. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, we'll be building several applications, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you guys are ready, we can move on to installation. You can just tell me in the chat if you are ready. If you are ready for installation, the link will be shared with you, and you'll be able to open the website and you'll be able to see for yourself what I'm saying and what I'm trying to say. I'm waiting for you guys. You can just tell me in the chat, if you are ready for installation process. You can take your systems with you, or if you don't have access to your system, you can just wait for it and see the live session after that. After completion. Yeah. Okay. So Mikan. Okay. So we'll just choose our OS. Let's go with the Windows first of all. All right. So what you have to do is click on this link and download will start. Okay, and you'll get the SDK of Flutter. Yeah. Everyone is ready. Okay, we can just move forward. So you'll get the SDK here from this link. Okay, a zip file will be downloaded. I'll just pause it for now because I have the Flutter SDK already. So you just download this thing, and then what you do is you just extract the zip inside the folder, inside the mentioned folder, or no, inside the users. If you are a Windows user, you'll have a local disk C where there's a folder called users, and you'll just paste this complete zip, extract the zip inside that folder only, and then you'll have to update your path. If you are new to programming, or if you are new to this everything, so you'll probably you don't have any knowledge about path and environment variables, but they are quite important because if you want to run the commands of Flutter, using that word Flutter inside your terminal or command prompt, you'll have to set the path inside your environment variables. So you'll have to follow these steps particularly, and specifically these steps are quite important to be followed. And I'll say that you'll have to update your path. And I don't have a Windows right now, but you can just go on to your this devices properties, computers properties, and you'll get the window for environment variables, and you'll have to update this path wherever you place this thing, your Flutter SDK's folder. You'll have to update it inside the path only, so that you'll be able to use that command inside your command prompt. Is it clear already? And if anyone is following up with the installation and everything, that will be much better. And if anyone is following up, you can just tell me in the chat, and if everything is going smoothly, you can just keep telling in the chat. So once you download this thing, once you download the SDK and paste it inside your local disk and set your path as well. Okay, first of all, I'll tell you how to set the path. Okay, from yeah, it's given right here. From the start, start search bar, you'll have to enter env, and the window for environment variables will open up directly, and you can just paste this path inside that. Yeah, okay, Mikan is downloading. That's nice. And most importantly, when you install and you're done with every process like setting a path and everything, you'll have to run Flutter Doctor. What is Flutter Doctor? Flutter Doctor is a command that inspects your SDK, and it tells you if there is an issue with your SDK installation, and if there is an issue with your IDE or your Android and Android SDK, and it tells you if you have to accept licenses or something. These are the terms that you might not be familiar with right now, but these are the common errors that you get while installation. And if you are getting any such error, after this session is over, if you are getting any such errors, you can just slide to bottom of this particular website which I shared with you, and you'll get the errors as well, common errors that occur during the installation and everything. You'll get it. Everything will be here, okay, here itself in the documentation itself. So if you run this command, you'll get to know if you have to improve anything, if you have to change anything. And after this installation of Flutter SDK, okay, once you install the Flutter SDK, you'll need an IDE. An IDE, what is an IDE? It's an integrated development environment in which you will write your Flutter code. Okay, whatever code you're writing for building an application, you'll write it inside an IDE only. And the two most recommended IDEs will be Android Studio and the VS Code. Mostly people use VS Code for Flutter development because Android Studio is something which is specific for Android development, the core Android development, and it was developed for it. But now it supports Flutter as well, and it supports quite well. But people usually don't prefer Android Studio because it's heavy, and VS Code is light, and your computer can support VS Code, so you can just go on with VS Code only. And for it's saying that you have to install Android Studio because with Android Studio you'll get the Android SDK only. So first of all, download and install this Android Studio from the given link. Here's the link, okay, and the link is already here, through which you can download the Android Studio. And first of all, if you download the Android Studio, you'll have to set it up as well, and the instructions are given there already. And I have the Android Studio downloaded, that's why I cannot show you the steps and everything, because it sometimes it gets messy when you're downloading and everything. And you'll have to set up the emulator as well, because the emulator will be something which will be using to run your applications on your laptop itself. Yes, you can use your mobile phone to run through the USB cable or Wi-Fi debugging. And whatever application you're developing, you'll have to install it in your mobile phone through USB or through Wi-Fi. Or instead of that, you can just run your emulator on your laptop only, and then you'll just run your application whatever you're developing on that emulator, so that it's a virtual mobile phone inside your laptop only. So I was saying, there's an error that usually comes up about Android licenses. So you just you run this command and you accept every license. You just write y yes yes y yes y yes, and you just accept everything so that you don't get any errors. So this was about Windows setup, and the Mac setup is similar to this. And you can just tell me in the chat if anyone has downloaded, because it's the size of the SDK is large, so it might be slow in download, or it might take a little time. But if you have any doubt in this, because you are not implementing it directly, so you'll not get any errors right now, and you'll be thinking that there's documentation right here, so you'll be able to download and install quite easily. But there might be a few errors, so that's why I was saying to follow up. But we have tomorrow's session if anyone faces any errors or something, to check out whatever the errors were and to solve those errors. We have tomorrow's session, of course, but still, if you are following up right now, you can just tell in the chat.
And one more thing, guys, if like you have installed the Flutter, okay, and still then you are not able to figure out like exactly where you are installed it prior, okay, or you are working on the new system where the Flutter is already installed and you want to know that exactly where the Flutter is located, okay, so you can directly get it using the where, okay. So there's the keyword this where you can run it on the CLI, order to get the details about the particular thing which is the Flutter. Okay, so if you just type where Flutter, you will get the complete path where it is being installed. Okay, so that might be helpful for you to locate the SDK.
Yes, Viprant Moon is asking that can he use VS Code? Yes, you can use VS Code. And Mikan is asking how to use VS Code. What you do is you just install all these things, Flutter and Android Studio. This will provide you the base for and the required SDKs for running Flutter on your device, and you just install VS Code. It's as simple as it sounds. You just install VS Code and you install plugins for required plugins for Flutter, so that your development process gets easier and easier. You just install Flutter, and it's already in your path, so VS Code will detect it, and you'll be able to open those Flutter projects and run those Flutter projects directly. Right, Himanshu? There's no issue involved in that VS Code installation.
Right, you can directly run it on the VS Code, and definitely, if even though you don't install the plugin like by searching it over the plugin repository, it's going to automatically suggest you to install the plugins, which might be helpful
Yeah.
for you. Okay, and it's going to like give you the auto completion and all those features built in, so you don't have to worry about that. And
Yeah,
one more
guys.
thing,
So yeah, you
uh,
were saying.
like you are going to like run it on the emulator, okay, and if you are not having the RAM that is like above 4 GB, okay, I don't consider it as the 4 GB, because yeah, definitely if you are going to use the Android Studio, it's going to like make your
Just going.
whole PC unresponsive. Okay, so yeah, don't try this experiment though. I won't even suggest you to use the Android Studio on the 4 GB RAM. Okay, so there I would suggest better you use the VS Code along with the physical device. Okay, don't go with the emulator. It's going to like affect your speed for the development. Okay, so guys, if you're having the 8 GB RAM, okay, that's good. Then you can directly run it on the emulator. Even though if you run it on the emulator now, you're going to face a few of the problems maybe, so don't worry about that. You just clean wipe the your emulator and just start it from the beginning. So it might resolve your issue.
All right, so the steps for installation inside macOS are similar to Windows only. Okay, so what you do is you just download the zip file for macOS, the Flutter SDK for macOS, and then you unzip it. It's not necessary to unzip through the command. You can unzip it through clicking on it, and this command export path equal to the whole command. That's for placing your. Okay, so Mikan is saying that he has installed Flutter. That's very nice. That's cool. Okay, so this command for export, the complete command is for adding the Flutter SDK inside your path in macOS. Okay, so these are 2 or 3 steps that you have to follow to install Flutter on macOS, and after that you'll run Flutter Doctor, which will eventually tell you if there is something wrong with the Flutter installation, and if there you have to do something about it. And all these things, they are okay. They are secondary, they are not the primary steps, and in case you want to do that. And I guess, yeah, that's all with the macOS installation, because there's nothing much installed in it. And of course you'll have to install Android Studio on macOS as well, because once you click on that link given in the Windows, okay, if even if you click on that link, you'll be directed to a macOS installation page if you have a Mac, and that's how you install it on Windows or Mac. These steps are pretty straightforward, and as Mikan is saying that he has already installed it, and so yeah, judging by that, it's pretty simple and straightforward. So let me just share the PPT with you. So can we just have the screen, shared screen on front? Until then, if anyone else has installed Flutter, they can tell in the chat, or if they are facing any issue, they can tell that as well, and we'll be able to solve those issues right now.
And guys, one more thing to remember, okay? If you're going to run it on the iOS simulator, okay, that's the uh, like iOS devices, that is the virtual iOS definitely. So basically, guys, you will have to first install the Xcode, okay? Because there are few of the things which you need to configure first in order to run the macOS, okay? The installation is very simple in the macOS, okay? You don't have to do all those things like copying the path and everything else. It's directly you have to copy the command and paste it in the terminal. Okay, that's it. But there's a thing that is when you install the Xcode. Okay, so you have to configure a few of the things when running on the physical devices because macOS directly doesn't allow you to build the IPA if you're not having the developer's account. Okay, so first you need to have the developer's account. That's the requirement. But if you're running it on the emulator, you don't need anything. But yeah, on the physical devices, you can sign it with the like your basic development account. First, you have to create it on the developers.apple.com. Okay, and from there, guys, you can carry forward because Apple is like quite more secure as compared to other OS, so it doesn't allow you to directly generate the app bundle for that particular application and distribute it. Okay, so you can't even do this thing like generating the IPA and delivering it to every other person to install that application, like the APK. Okay, you can build the APK directly because yeah, Flutter allows you to do so, and even the Android is open source, so it doesn't like care much about that. But yeah, in the iOS, you have to like remember this thing. So along with the export, it's going to install few of the utilities. So that's going to solve you all those issues. Okay, guys. So yeah, let's continue with Karan.
Yeah, right. You were saying absolutely correct, because there are two sides of Apple. One is the user side where you use the iPhone and Apple OS, and it's pretty nice and everything, And but on the developer side, if you are trying to, push the application or publish the application and develop the application, there are multiple things that you need to consider, because it is quite complicated and complex over there in the Xcode and in the iOS development and everything. It's quite complicated. So if you are trying to install Xcode, and you're trying to run the functions and write the functions for iOS, iOS oriented, then I think you must first go with Android and then move on to iOS. Although the Flutter code will be same, and it will be for both the OSs, but there are particular things that you need to consider while installing Xcode. And right now, I think we can move forward with Android Studio installation only, because we'll be covering the Flutter, mainly the Flutter, and not the iOS and deployment part, right, Himanshu?
Yeah, right. So
Okay.
guys, yeah, if you request though, we will cover that part two in the another session, maybe after this overall
Yeah,
workshop.
exactly.
Okay, because yeah, lots of you are going to face the problem in the deployment phase because yeah, there are a few of the things you need to configure first in order to deploy it on the Play Store and App Store. Okay, because
Right, right.
it's going to use the JIT and AOT. So yeah, there are a few of the libraries which need some of the configuration which are you going to use in the Flutter application. Okay, so at that time, guys, definitely you are going to require some of the configuration, and yeah, we will cover it up in another session maybe. But for now, we are going to just focus on the basics of the Flutter along with the building the applications using those. Okay, so yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And uh, I was saying that we'll see the Dartpad after this. I have shared the screen. Let's wait for it to come on in front. Yeah, so my Dartpad screen is visible. All right. So if you have any doubts or anything regarding installation, you can just post it here, and we'll be moving forward to the code part. Right, Himanshu will be explaining this, and so this is the first application that you get. So this is in the Dartpad. So let me just show you how how you can. Uh, okay, it's someone. Can anyone share the link here? Nidhi Sahu, can you be specific about the link? I mean, you want me to share the link for Dartpad? I'll ask. Okay, one second. Actually, the link for Dartpad is already shared, I guess. But anyways, I'll tell to share again.
We will just pin it so that everyone who's facing the difficulty in getting the link now, they just like get it a lot easier to visit those links.
All right, so the link is shared. You guys can see the link, and you can just click on it, and you will be able to see the whatever I am seeing on my screen. Okay, what's the second link again? Okay, the installation thing. Okay, one second. I think she's talking about the installation. All right, so the links are available with you. You can see the links and everything, and I'll show you how to create your first application. We click on this terminal. We open a terminal, and in your PC you can also open the terminal. Whoever has installed it or has it already installed. Okay, so we just write Flutter create, and what should we name it, Himanshu?
Let's give it as the let's start in Flutter itself because that's the name of the workshop. So it will be a lot easier for the people to remember what exactly we
Okay.
build.
All right, so let's wait for it to build, and it will do some commands and it will write something. Of course, no one is ever going to read it, and yeah, so it's done. Okay, it has already opened up. So let me just go to that folder, and let me just open the VS Code in that particular folder. All right, so let me just show you. So this is the okay. Is it visible? I mean, can you read everything? Because the font is small. Font is quite small.
Yeah, it's visible though.
Okay, okay, all right. So this is the structure of the project. Okay, okay, guys. And one more thing, we are done with installation. We are done with the introduction and everything. And now we are moving forward to actual code, actual Flutter. So get ready for that. And you can just tell me before starting that if you have any doubts for the previous thing or anything. And we'll just start off with actual code and actual Flutter, right, Himanshu?
Yeah, right. So, guys, one more thing I would like to tell you. Okay, remember that a few of the commands were running between, like the code and dot. Okay, so they are being already exported in the terminal. Okay, so basically, what it does is it's going to directly launch the VS Code in that particular folder. Okay, so basically, we are using the Mac OS here. Okay, in the Windows, you are going to export the path in the again in the My Computer and all those things.
No,
Okay,
actually, we can use it in Windows as well. That's no issue with that.
right,
I
right.
mean,
But they will have to export first because most recent version of VS Code it gets directly installed in the Windows automatically. But in the previous
oh,
version, it wasn't there. So might
yeah,
be
yeah,
now.
I remember. I remember doing that. I had
Yeah,
to put it there, and after that only I was able to use the code command, code word in that terminal, and you can just
exactly.
directly use code dot to open VS Code in that particular folder only. Yeah, so we can just move on ahead. So this is the library folder. Okay, the main folder here is library folder, and the main file is main.dart. So as you can, as you might know that the execution of any program, execution of any project starts from the main function and the main file, right? So this will be the opening file or the opening, what we can say, Himanshu. This will be the
This is the
entry
first
point. Yes,
method. Yeah,
yes,
like
I
if you remember in CCPP. Okay, we are
Yeah,
using like void main, so it's going to execute first, and after that, all those things will be like executed. So
actually,
yeah,
our teachers used to tell that, that the main function will be the entry point. In theory,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
used to learn that. I was not able to recall that word. So main function is going to be the entry point for our application and for our project. So it's inside the library. Library is something where you'll be writing your code and creating your files and everything. And you can, if you can see, let me just increase the font somewhere. This might be somewhere to increase the font. Right.
Just make it full screen. So like
Yeah,
I can.
so it's zoomed in right now. Actually, even if I make it full screen, yeah, this is zoomed much more. So yeah, this is the main file. This is the library folder. In library folder, you'll be writing all your files and all your code. And above that, there are two folders, Android and iOS. So Android is going to be the configuration files for the Android OS. This fold the files inside this folder will help you run your application and your code and your project on Android devices. So all these are configuration files. You'll get to know about them. You'll get to use them. You'll get to manipulate them because you'll have to manipulate them to build applications. And there are for particular implementations and dependencies or class paths that you have to add here to implement few functionalities and everything. So you'll get to know about these things after you learn Flutter on basic ground levels. Okay, and the iOS folder will be the same. It will be used for running your application on iOS or the iPhone OS. Okay, so we'll get to know about the main file here. And what you guys can do is, once again, I will tell you one second. So you guys can go to Dartpad. Okay. So this is the Dartpad that the link was shared already in the comments. So you guys can go to Dartpad, and this is the application that we have here in our VS Code. Here, whatever we have here is the same application, the counter application. Let me just open the emulator for you.
And guys, one more thing, you might be wondering that while we are dealing in the Flutter, why do we have to change it in the Android and iOS respectively? Okay. So guys, if you remember, I have told you earlier that we are going to basically build the application in the Flutter definitely, but when it's going on the deployment, okay. So it's going to be like a complete package for that particular OS. Okay. So it's going to be a native application for that OS. Like if you're going to compile it for the like Android device. So it's going to be the Android's native one. And if you're going to make it for the iOS, then it's going to be IPA, that is the iOS version. Okay.
Right.
So it serves like that. Okay. So yeah, there are a few of the files in the Android and iOS folder too. We'll just make sure that we cover a few of those files, which will be helpful for you to like remember that exactly when to use these files. Okay. And there is one of the file that we have mentioned earlier, that is the popspec.yml. Okay. So that's the most important file you are going to use in the Flutter, because all the libraries you are going to like integrate in your application. Okay. All those things will be mentioned here. So yeah, Karan is going to definitely tell you that exactly why this file is so important. So yeah, Karan, please introduce this file to them.
So we are going directly to PubSpec file, not going to main file. Okay, let me just do that. So what's given in here is whatever dependencies you are going to install, as Himanshu said already. Okay, whatever dependencies you'll be installing, those will be mentioned here, and whatever assets, images you'll be getting, and these assets thing. Okay, it's already commented out. The code is commented out so that you don't have to write every time. You just comment it, remove the comment, and you'll get the code as it is, and you'll change the names of the assets and everything. So what you do is, if you are going if you want to add some image which will be already present in the application, you don't want it to load from somewhere on backend or somewhere from any server or anything. So you add assets to it. Okay, you add assets to your application, and what you do is you add fonts to it. Okay, and after that there are some developer dependencies. What are developer dependencies? Those are helpful plugins and extensions that are going to help the developer, and it does not need to be inside the production application or the release application. Those are the developer dependencies. And starting with dependencies only. What are dependencies? Dependencies are just plugins and helpful extensions that will help the developer develop the application, and it will be like some written code that someone else has written already for you, and it does some particular function, and it handles some kind of functionality, and you'll just directly use that by calling the plugin, and using that plugin directly inside your application. So those are dependencies and developer dependencies that you'll be installing inside your pubspec.yaml only. And as I was saying, you can just skip null safety by editing this to from 2.1 to 2.7. By doing this, you will be able to skip null safety, that null safety part. As I think someone asked, only Sumit Banwakde asked earlier only. And so it's giving me errors because I removed the null safety, and there are few things that are present already with null safety. Let me just I think I'll just keep it here. Okay, so this is the file, main.dart file. The code, I'll hide this thing. All right, so this is the code in main.dart file, and if you guys want to see the same code that's present on my screen, you can go to the Dartpad link that was given in the comments box earlier. So you can go to that screen, and this is the same code as present in my main.dart file. So are you guys following up? Are you guys going to that Dartpad link that we shared earlier? You can tell me in the chat, and let's keep it interactive. I mean, if we keep interacting, that will be less boring for you. Actually, okay. Yeah, so if you can tell us in the chat.
If you are having any difficulty till now, okay, you can ask it, okay, or whatever the doubt you have been facing while the installation maybe or anything else, you can directly ask it over there.
Yeah, so there are comments. Okay, so Bert is saying that understanding, okay, and Mikan is also following up. Okay, that's nice. So what we'll do is I'll tell you if Mikan is already installed, right? So all right, but thanks. And CS is saying okay. So guys, if you are following up and you have installed it, so I'll tell you this command. Okay, Flutter run. So if you write Flutter run in your terminal inside your VS Code or Android Studio, whatever you're using, all right, so you just do Flutter run and click on enter, and it will run your application, and eventually it will run on your emulator only, because I have only connected my emulator here. So it's writing some things and telling us some things that what it's doing, running Gradle task, assemble, debug, and everything. Okay, so not getting the code. Yes, we are going to explain the code now. We are just running it here. We are going to explain it. Let's wait for it to run, and it might take a few time, a little time, and we'll have to give it that time.
Here we will try each and everything. Okay, guys, don't worry about that. We are going to try hot reload. Then after that, what exactly each of the like widget and everything goes on there in the Flutter. We're going to learn there. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about that. And yeah, one more thing, guys. There's this hot reload feature. Okay, maybe it could happen that sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, so don't
Yeah.
worry. Just restart your application. Okay, like just stop all this process and restart your application. So it will help you. And one more thing, guys. As you made the changes in the pubspec.yml file, you might be wondering that exactly how those libraries are being automatically fetched. Okay, so the thing is that, guys, VS Code is already providing us the functionality. Like if you just save the pubspec.yml file, it's going to run one of the command, that is flutter pubget. Okay. So what it does is whatever the libraries you have included in the pubspec file now, that's going to be fetched by that command. Okay. From there's one of the website. Okay, from which you can directly take all those libraries. Okay, yeah, we are going to show you what exactly that website is. So from there you can directly copy paste whatever the library you want in the pubspec.yml, and whenever you are going to save it, it's directly just install it from that particular repository. Okay, so we just call it as a repository because it's going to hold a lot of like libraries which are pre-built, which we are going to use it till the last step. Okay, So yeah, let's continue.
All right, guys. So I have not used the hot reload here because I'm running it from the command because I like it this way only. So what's this application, the default application? So if we click on this, Mikan, he's saying that he or she, I don't know, but opened in Chrome because you'll have to open your emulator first of all. I think you have only downloaded right now only, that what we can say Android Studio. Yes, Android Studio, you have downloaded Android Studio right now, and you'll have to install your emulator and download it and then open it, and then after that only the application will open up in your emulator. And if you have connected your mobile phone with your laptop, you'll have to turn on USB debugging for that application to run on your device. For running on your device emulator or your phone, you'll have to do these things. If that's clear, you can tell us in the chat. And if it's running in the Chrome, there's no problem with that. You can just run in Chrome instead, and it will run the same way. All right, so what we'll do is we'll just change the title first of all. Let's do one thing. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching you a conventional way here to run the application and everything. So what we do is we press small r, and by pressing small r, we'll do a hot reload here, and it will just change whatever change was mentioned by us. It will just change it. So this is from top. Okay, what we'll do is we will go and see each and every component, what's there in it. So our entry point, main function is the entry point. So from here on we'll discuss code. So the entry point is the main function, and inside the main function there is a function called run app. And run app, what will run app do? It will just run your application. And if you click on the icon given on your application, any of the application on your device, WhatsApp, Instagram, anything, when you click on that application icon, it calls this run app, and the application opens up and starts running all the required widget building, screen building, and functions, anything that's required after starting the application. And after that there's something called my app. So it's a class. My app is a class which extends a stateless widget. Previously I explained you two things, that there are few widgets which are stateless, and there are few widgets which are stateful. So actually it was not like that, but this is a stateless widget, my app, which is not going to change its state. Okay, so this complete screen is not going to, it's saying that it's not going to change. Okay, it's saying that this my app is not going to change with any change, any activity or anything. All right, so what we have here is my app, and there is a material app inside. So these are a few things that you mandatorily need to know in your application. This is not something that you. All right, I think I was cut off for a while. Am I?
There were some issues with the connectivity.
Is everything clear
Yeah,
now?
yeah, we can
So,
continue.
but if I'm pronouncing it right, so stateless doesn't mean that it's independent of any screen. One second, guys. All right, there was some disturbance. Okay, so stateless does not mean that it is independent. As I previously explained, I think you were not there, so I'll explain it again one more time. So what's happening here? Look, if I'm clicking on this button, something on this screen will change. Okay, so this is the counter is changing. So this is stateful. Okay, this is stateful because the state of that thing can change, and anything on the screen can change. And if I if there is some screen that even after clicking, there nothing will be changed on the screen. The state of the screen will not be changed even after clicking on anything happening in the background or anything. If the state and the screen is not going to change, it's called as stateless. State is the state of the screen, the current state of the screen. Okay, state here means the current state of the screen, and it will change or it will not change. So the first thing is a stateless widget, but the another one is stateful, which is the which is inside the material app. It's a stateful widget, so it will change. It might change or it can change. All right, so what we have here is material app. First of all, let's see what's my app. It's class which extends stateless widget. So this whole thing will be a stateless widget. If you have something inside like a my home page which can be stateful, so you can have something which is inside and that might change. All right, so here we have a build function. Okay, it's a function, a build function, which is using this override at the rate override keyword. What override does is this is a stateless widget. It's extended by a stateless widgets. So what we have to do is we have to necessarily, compulsorily write a build function is inside any stateless widget. Okay, in that case, what will happen is in that case what will happen is you'll have to write a build function, and inside that build function you'll have to return something. If you are new to programming, you might not know what is a return, but this whole thing, this whole build function will return this widget, material app widget. It will be returned by this and it will be shown on the screen. Okay, so this thing is called by the application, so that something will be displayed on the screen, and it is going to be this material app. So this material app has several parameters that we have to enter, like title is going to be the Flutter demo, which is shown yeah, one second. So in this OS, there is no title here, but in your devices, in your phones, when you open the recent apps and there's something shown there, so you can say that it's the title is for that only. There are multiple other purposes, but you can see that the title is there only. So the next thing is theme. So what we can do is we can just set a particular color for our complete application, whole application, and it will be it will be the primary color for this text. So you can, if you want to set some different color, you can set some different color. But when you set a primary color, if in cases where no color is mentioned, or in cases where a color is required but not given, in that case a primary color will be given to that thing, and you can say that it's a default color. Okay, you can say in simple words it's a default color, so we'll keep it red only. And after that there's a home. In material app, home means the first screen, the default screen that is going to be shown. And we are using my home page named class here. There's a class named my home page, which is extended by a stateful widget. So this is a stateful widget extended by a stateful widget, so that it can be changed in any case the user wants to interact with the screen. And if user interacts or something happens in the background, and we want to change that particular element on the screen, so it can be done using a inside a stateful widget only. So we have the title for our my home page. We are passing this parameter. This is a named parameter that we are passing. It's a concept in object oriented programming, and if you guys might know about object oriented programming, then this is going to be a parameter that is going to be passed to this my home page class. And yes, so inside this stateless widget. Okay, okay, Partip Kumar Sarkar, we are explaining the code right now. Earlier I was just saying that you can see the code there. Now if you have any problem in the code, or at any point, you can just ask us. All right, so inside this stateless widget, we are directly returning the build function here. Okay, directly mentioning the build function and returning the application or the screen directly. But in stateful widget, what you have to do is you have to create state. It's pretty straightforward, as it as the name says. So these things are something you'll have to remember, keep in mind, and do these things always. And most importantly, these things they come in a snippet only. When you click on state STLS, you click on STFL or STLS in VS Code. Okay, stateful builder, and there are suggestions, and it will directly give you the complete set snippet and the setup of that particular class. So you don't have to memorize it, but you'll have to keep in mind that there are few things that are there in Flutter. So these are some things that won't affect anything, but if not done properly, the application might crash. All right, so in stateful widgets, you'll have to create a state. Okay, this is the syntax for creating state. Okay, in this, what's happening is this my homepage state is a different class. Okay, and is my homepage is a different class. These two are two different classes. In my homepage is a stateful extended by a stateful widget, and it needs to create a state. So we pass this my homepage state class, which is extended by state. It needs to create state, and we are passing it the state. So it is as simple as it sounds, and you don't have to make it complex or anything. Just leave it here, and if you don't understand this thing, you don't have to worry too much, because it's important, but it does not, it does not concern your development process. So what do we have inside this my homepage state class is a build function. Again, in this thing also we had a build function, right? So here also we have a build function. So what it will do, it will return something which will be shown on the screen. Okay, this build function is going to return something which will be shown on the screen here. And we have is a scaffold. So scaffold is a different term in itself only. So I'll just explain what scaffold is. So scaffold has several parts, but I'll tell you the three primary parts. Okay, this is the app bar that's shown in top, and the navigation bar is shown in the bottom. We don't have a navigation bar right now. Okay, we don't have the navigation bar in the default application, and the whole thing that's in the middle is the body. Okay, the scaffold has three parts. It's one is the app bar, and the other one is the body, and the last or the ending one is the navigation bar. All right, and the fourth part that is shown on the screen is the floating action button. This button is a floating action button. It's floating on the screen, and it's not on the on the canvas, and it's not distracting anything. It's on the screen and floating up, so it's called as a floating action button. So it's a part of a scaffold only. All right, so spelling mistake there. All right, so these are the parts of the scaffold. Let me just comment it out so that I don't get an error. Okay, so these are the parts of the scaffold. We'll see what a scaffold is and how the parts are there. So as I told you, there's an app bar, right? There's an app bar here, and there's a body, and there is no navigation bar because we don't have a navigation bar in this thing. We can of course give it, but let's keep something for later. And there's an app bar, there's body, and there's floating action button. So first of all, let's see what an app bar is. Right, so in this app bar, what we have to pass to that parameter. Okay, let's just clear one thing. Scaffold is a widget. Okay, scaffold is a widget, and there are multiple parts, and these are the parameters. Okay, app bar and everything, these are the parameters that we have to pass to that scaffold, and these are the parts of that scaffold, and we'll tell the scaffold how to draw it and how to how to make it, how to develop it. And in that thing, we'll have to pass this app bar. So what is an app bar? App bar is also a widget only. Okay, app bar is also a widget. App bar is also a widget. As I told earlier, everything in Flutter is a widget. Scaffold is a widget. App bar is a widget. So we access that widget using the name app bar app and capital BAR app bar, and like that only. And again, inside that app bar, we again have a parameter called as title. So inside that app bar, there are multiple parts of the app bar as well, and the one of the part is title. All right. So where did it go? Okay. So what is this thing? Let me just remove this thing, and we'll mention here. Right, I'm reloading it, and there's some error it's saying. One second. Okay, I this is for another day. I mistakenly imported something I shouldn't have. So nothing changed because we, there was utter in Flutter already there. So what text does is title. We in title we need a widget, another widget. Okay. So I'll tell you how to distinguish between it. Okay. First of all, we'll go to title here, and it will show you something. Okay. Title requires a widget. This is a return type that is needed, to pass into the title thing. So it requires a widget, and in that widget, we'll be passing a text widget. So text is also a widget. All right. So again, I'll just control D and all right. So text is also a widget, as I mentioned earlier. Everything is a widget. All right. So text is again a widget, and what does the text require here? Text requires something, a string. Okay, some data to put inside that text widget. It requires something. So we'll again write. Right. So that data is replaced here. Whatever we gave to that text widget, it is replaced inside that. Okay. So let me just write again. Okay. So this was the first part of the scaffold, the app bar, which is at the top. All right. The second part is body, and before that, we'll just see what a floating action button is. And you are not going to use it that much, but still, it's an important part. So it's a button, right? So what will a button expect to pass to it? So these are the parameters that we are passing to that button, and there's a child inside this thing. Okay, this is a floating action button. It's a widget, and there's a child inside this thing. So what this child indicates is we are nesting widgets inside widgets. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll see that there might be containers, and there might be app bars, and there might be column widgets and everything, which are we are going to see it tomorrow in the tomorrow session about layouts and everything. I'll not bore you with about layouts and everything today. So we'll see that yesterday only. But childs are something that if we want to put a widget inside another widget, so we'll have to give it inside the child parameter. Okay, this is a parameter, this child is a parameter, so we'll have to give that column inside the center as a child. Okay, so this will be the nesting of the widgets. All right. So in the floating action button, we are giving tooltip as increment. So tooltip would be if we keep pressing, if you long press on that button, it will see that it will say it's for increment. Okay, that will be the tooltip, and we'll give it child as an icon. So icon is going to be the add one. Add is icons is a class icons. Okay. So icon is a widget and icons is a class. We'll give icons dot add a photo here, and we'll try to change it here. And so the icon will be changed. There are multiple icons that you can choose from. So all these terms, about the app bar, icon, icons, and center column, you'll have to remember those things, and those things will come once you start practicing and you keep practicing. Those things will already, you'll already get to, in meantime, while you practice, you will get familiar with those terms, and you'll get to know what they do. And once you start exploring everything, you'll start understanding how things are, how things work and how things are get done here. All right, so I'll just keep it as add only, which was the previous one. And let's move to the body. Okay, in body, we also have to pass another widget, which is center, and center is also a widget here. So there are multiple widgets we are going to use, which we are going to use only. Okay, so there is a center widget. Inside that, there is a column widget. It's a layout widget. So how rows are placed is horizontal, and how columns are placed is vertical. So if we are placing some widgets inside a column, it will be placed vertically. And if we are using, instead of that, if we are using a row here, okay, it will be placed horizontally, and it's going to mess up everything. So it's placed horizontally here inside a row, and if you are using a column, it will be placed vertically. So it's quite evident by the terms itself, the row and the column term. Okay. And by center, we mean that we need to keep this thing in center. If I remove this thing, how to remove this thing is we see this thing, and there are brackets for center, so we just remove it, and we just remove this thing, so it will be removed, and also the child. All right, so it will be removed from here, and if we do the reload thing, so it's not in exact center, it's in the center vertically but not horizontally, because the body is centering it. Body is okay, not the body but the alignment. So this is for another day, this alignment thing is for another day. So what center does is it gets everything in the center. Right, so there are, the names of the widgets are quite clear. If you see center, it will center. If you see column, it will lay widgets in a column. If you see row, it will lay widgets in a row. And if you see icon, it will give you an icon. And they are quite easy to remember. If you see app bar, it will be the app bar here at the top. And floating action button is also in widgets, so it will give you a floating action button. And in the same way, text will give you a text, and image will give you a image. And if you want to use image, you will use the widget image. So the nomenclature and naming is quite simple, is kept simple, so that it will be easy to understand. That is something very efficient with this thing and Flutter. And it's easy to understand, that's why people refer and prefer Flutter only. So there's another text widget inside our column. Here is the column, and there are previously we saw that there is child inside center, and in column there are children. So what will be the reason for this? Because center can accommodate one child, and column can accommodate several children. That's why we are just changing that. It's single child layout and multiple child layout. It's the topic of tomorrow's session. But right now I'm just telling that children is a parameter of column, multiple where you can place multiple children inside column, inside rows. There are two examples I'm giving right now. In those widgets you have to enter children, and in some widgets where you can only add one child and one widget inside it, so you just give it inside a child parameter. Okay, so we have children inside the column. Are things clear till now? I mean, if you have any doubt, because we are moving to some code and some part which is quite unfamiliar with you, and you might be wondering what this guy is babbling and what this guy is saying. So you can just ask, I'll tell you what I'm saying, and explain again if you want me to. I'll wait for a minute. I know if anyone asks. Himanshu, would you like to tell anything about widgets in particular, or about column or anything? Because there are there are these are concepts that might be difficult to understand in the beginning, because there are they are unfamiliar with this, right? So okay,
Yeah,
but you're saying that.
guys, I would like to tell you one thing that wherever you like see this child and children, okay, don't get confused among this. Wherever you see child, okay, remember that in that particular widget, you are just going to encapsulate a single widget, okay, where you see child, okay. But in case if you are seeing the children, then in that case you can add multiple widgets, okay. So it's going to be inside that particular widget's body, okay. Like here the Karan has given the great example for the child and children, okay. So here, like if you consider the fab button, okay, that is the floating action button that we called it as a fab, okay. So that button basically encapsulates a plus sign, okay, as you can see, okay. So guys, these are few of the things like icons and all those things are inbuilt in Flutter, okay. So you can easily use all those things in your application without any like third party, or else if you want some other icons, maybe like you want to introduce the font or some icons or something else, in that condition you will have to just like modify the popspec YML file and include the font awesome, okay. Then after that guys, here you might be like having the question like where does this title from the my application has gone, okay. So guys, whenever you are going to switch it to the recent apps view, okay, or like we can say that you're going to get back to the multitasking screen. Okay, at that time you're going to see some of the like title over there. Okay, that thing is going to be passed over there. Okay, and like guys, here you can see some of the variables are being like contained in the single quote. Okay, so it's been followed by the dollar sign. Basically, guys, whatever you see after the dollar sign, remember those are nothing but the variables. Okay, so yeah, might be some of you don't know about what exactly the variable is. As the name itself suggests, that variable is nothing but it's going to have change in the value. Okay, and the concept of the state and stateful widget is bit straightforward. Okay, so like if you consider that there should be a widget which is not going to change its value or anything else. Okay, so in that condition, maybe it can happen that you want to build the application like hello world application, which shouldn't change any value, or the hello world application is going to remain just hello world, nothing else. In that condition is you don't have to like always use the stateful components. Okay, because yeah, definitely it's not going to like change the text of the widget or anything else. So you don't have to like use the stateful widget in that condition. Okay, it's okay to use the stateless widget in that condition wherever you don't feel like something is going to change. Okay, so guys, these are few of the things you need to remember, because few people like they are doing if there is a static screen. Okay, so in static screen also they have been using the stateful component, which is not necessary at all. Okay, so the thing is that whenever you're going to use the stateful component, okay, definitely there is going to be a difference in the frame rates of the application, and also it's going to consume a bit more memory as compared to stateless application. Okay, because definitely it's going to perform some of the operations. That's why we put it up in the stateful concept, right? So at that particular thing, it's going to use bit of the memory, not so much. So you don't have to worry about that. So these are few of the things, and lots of things have been there in the Flutter inbuilt. So you don't have to like depend on every time on the third-party libraries. And there are a few of the things like you need to know the scaffold as Karan has explained. So that's nothing but the you can consider one more thing, that's the safe area. Okay, so sometimes it might happen that overall whatever the things you have been using in the application screen, okay, it might just overflow. Okay, so for that purpose we are using the safe area. Okay, so it will not let the application overflow. Okay, and definitely while building the applications you are going to face a lot of problem of the overflow. That's because of the pixels and everything, because yeah, those concepts are like bit going to take the time to understand. Okay, so in the initial level you are going to like face those problems like yeah, just Karan show them that if you just increase the length of the particular text, what exactly happens, what do I mean by the overflowing, so they will know it better.
I think it will eventually, yeah. So it's not overflowing right now because
Yeah,
it's what we can say.
already in
It's
the
I'll do
yes,
one more thing. We can generate errors, of course. I mean,
like
that's
they
what.
should be dealing with the errors, because otherwise they will complain that exactly what you are taught in that particular thing you didn't mention anything about the errors, wherever we are just facing those errors. Uh, that's cool.
All right. So I'm.
Just wrap it in the child text.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Oh, one more thing. But it's inside a column, right?
Right. Just wrap that particular text in that child, so it will get automatically.
Right. So we are not getting errors. That's a miracle. That's a miracle.
Just do one thing. Remove this particular text from here. Okay, and just copy paste that particular. Uh, do one thing. Just put the children in the column. Okay, and paste this text inside that, so it will automatically get overflow over there.
Okay, we can do that. You're saying like this now.
Yeah, just type it in the container column. Okay, great. Now just copy paste that
Finally,
text.
finally,
Got that error.
we have error.
That's great.
So
So
you can
guys,
see that
you can
bottom
clearly
over.
see bottom overflowed by some pixels. Okay, so this is the most like occurring error in the Flutter. Okay, and definitely you are going to face this in future a lot of time. Okay, it's not like that you are going to face it because we generated that error, but in future also you are going to generate this error while building the complex UI UX. Okay, yeah, Mika, right. Feels just like HTML and CSS, right? Exactly. All those
Yeah,
concept of the columns, rows, and then after that, like we use the framework like Bootstrap. Okay, so all those they're like kind of similar. Okay, so definitely those things will help you a lot here. Then after the concept of the blocks and everything, they are definitely going to help. So as you can guys see, here's the error that bottom overflowed by some pixels. Okay, so in order to just like get rid of this particular error, you just have to figure out that exactly what space it's taking, and according to that, we have to adjust the particular layout. Okay, so yeah, we'll just revert the code because we've already seen the error. So yeah, this was the particular error I was talking about.
yeah, right.
Okay, guys, we can clearly see that wherever the error is going to occur. Okay, so it will just give the complete like hierarchy of that particular widget, that exactly where it is located,
Yeah,
so that
right. We
you
can
don't
just
face the
create
problem.
this error here. It's giving you, the hierarchy complete here. What Himanshu mentioned right now, it's giving you which widget was there, which was facing the error and everything, and the file name and the file number, everything it gives you. Here is the file name. Okay, so you can see the file name is there, and the line number and the word number as well. Everything is stored here inside the error message, and you'll be able to debug everything from there only. So let me just reload this thing. So this was a miracle that we were not able to generate an error, which we keep doing all the time, unintentionally, intentionally.
Whenever we need error, we don't get it, and when we are not expecting the error to occur, at the time it happens.
Exactly.
That's all about coding.
So you can continue, Himanshu, with. I think we have covered this text also, and
Yeah, we have
yeah,
almost
we have
covered
explained
everything.
working. We can explain the this thing.
We'll just explain them about the Android and iOS folders though, because they're like new to it. So I'll just introduce them
Yeah, you can
together.
just introduce it, but I'll suggest that they won't understand things inside it
Yeah,
right
right,
now.
right, right. So yeah, we'll just give the short intro to this. Okay. So yeah, here's the Android folder, guys. So remember, guys, here you will see two build.gradle files. So now you might be wondering that what exactly these files are, build.gradle. So there are two build.gradle files. One is the project level and another one is the app level. Okay. So in future, I'm definitely going to explain you what exactly this app level and project level Gradle file is. Okay.
Right.
So basically, guys, I will just give you a short intro. Like if you want to use the library related to the notification, that is the FCM, Flutter base, sorry, Firebase. Okay. So at that time, we can directly introduce that particular library in the build.gradle, and then we can like use it in our application. Okay, so similar way, you have to introduce it to the pubspec.yml file, and in iOS you have to give it in the pod file. Okay, there are different files over here in each and every platform. Okay, guys. So it might confuse you a bit, but when you start working on that particular platform, you're going to know each and everything about that thing. So, guys, here I would like to tell you a bit more. Okay. So basically, guys, this build.gradle file is the app level build.gradle file, and another one is the project level. Now, guys, below that there is the file that is the gradle.properties. Okay, So if you just view that particular gradle.properties file, here you can see that there three things are given. Okay, so use Android X. Okay, this concept is a bit new to many people because this concept is not too like old. Okay, so I will just give you the intro in the next session about what exactly this Android X is. Okay, then after that there is the file named as local.properties. Okay, so guys, here in the local.properties file, you can clearly see that it's showing the installed SDK. Now, basically, guys, when you are going to run the Android application, okay, at that time you are definitely going to need this SDK. That is the software development kit. Okay. After that, here we have mentioned the path for the Flutter SDK. So we are basically going to tell that exactly where the Flutter SDK is being located. Okay. So you don't have to like give the error that it cannot find or something like that. So if you just remove this particular file now, it's going definitely going to give you the error that it cannot find the Flutter SDK or the Android SDK, and it's not able to run the application on the email data as well as the real device. Okay. Then after that, here are two different things. That is the Flutter version name and version code. Okay. So basically, guys, version code is for the public. Okay, public in the sense when you are going to deploy this particular application on the Play Store. Okay. So at that time, guys, this version code is being like visible to the public. Okay, but version name is for the developers. Like here, you can give 10.12 and everything. Okay, so yeah, if you just upload both the version code and version name same, okay, there is not the issue. But if you have already uploaded one of the application with this particular version code and version name, then it's going to throw error. Okay, so you are definitely going to face this proper error in the first deployment. Okay, but don't worry about that. You simply have to just change the version name and version code and you are ready to go. Okay, so that's all about the Android folder over here. Then yeah, just one more thing, that is the src folder inside the app. Okay, so yeah, we'll just go to the src folder. Inside this there is main and debug. So basically, guys, whenever we are going to have a look at the main, so inside the main, actually there holds two more folders. That is the Java and Kotlin. It's going to hold main.activity. Sorry, main activity. So guys, basically what it is like, as you have considered that whenever we are going to run the Flutter application, at that time it's going to first enter into the main. Okay. So in the similar way, whenever the application is being loaded in the Android, okay. So the default activity, it is the main activity.kt or main activity.java. Okay. So those who have already coded in like Android in Java or Kotlin, they might be familiar with this thing. Okay. Then after that, one more file is there, that is the Android manifest.xml. Okay. So guys, basically these files like hold most of the things. Okay, like whenever you are going to use the internet. Okay, so at that time you might face one of the major issue, that is if you are not having the HTTPS connection over there. Okay, so at that time you have to add a line. Okay, so yeah, definitely we are going to cover that in the HTTP request section. So we'll show it over there. But yeah, you need to remember that whenever we are going to deal with the non-secure connection, at that time we have to introduce a line in the manifest. Along with that, guys, the name of the application and everything. Okay, those few of the things are being mentioned over here. And here you can clearly see that Android name property is there that's saying that please open main activity. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to call the main activity on the launch of the application. In the similar way, Android label. So Android label is going to tell what the name of the application is going to be. Okay. So basically, guys, if you want to make the another stream file, you can create that. But yeah, today we are not going to cover that thing. We'll just simply give the label of that particular application over here. Okay, as already Karan has done that. Then after that, there is the Android icon. So this is the particular icon which is going to show in the menu of the Android. Okay, so there you can directly figure out that exactly which one is the application and what's the name of that application. Okay, so all these things are here. So this was all about Android manifest.xml file and exactly what we are going to use it over there. Okay, then after that, there's the folder for the iOS. Okay, now here, guys, it's going to be a bit complicated to understand. Okay, because there are a lot of thing in like iOS. So here there is no such file like pod file. Okay, so we have to create it first, because in order to install the libraries, okay, we have to create that particular thing. And then there is app-delegate.sway. In the similar way, info.plist. So in the info.plist, you are going to give the information for the build numbers and everything. Then after that, guys, one more thing I would like to tell, that app delegate file. Okay, it's really very important file, because whenever you are going to use the notification center and everything in order to send the local notification or the push notifications, at that time we are going to use this particular file. So remember, guys, this is the important file. And also, if you're using the FCM, then definitely you have to use this file. Don't even forget about that. You will have to use it in any way. Okay. So yeah, this is the file. Then after that, guys, at the end, we'll show you that exactly how you can generate the app icons and everything, while we'll be on the last day. So for now, just remember this thing, guys, that these are few of the files you need to remember. Okay. So then after that, Karan has already introduced you the lib folder that's going to hold your code. But remember, guys, okay, we are currently writing all the logic in the same file. Okay, so yeah, this is just for the like introductory part. Okay, but remember, guys, in the real world application, whenever you are going to build, you don't write overall business logic in the same file as of the view, because the thing is that you're gonna mess up when like you will write a very complex code. Because if you just consider that you are writing the same view and business logic over in the same file, then of course you will need more time to figure out that exactly where I written this particular code. Okay, and another thing is, whenever you're going to save the Dart code, okay, it will get formatted automatically. Because if you have noticed that we didn't even format the code, it actually gets formatted by itself. Okay, that's the advantage of using the like that. Like here, if you just introduce a widget to it, like can you please introduce a widget? It can be anything.
If I'm pressing Control S, it will adjust the spaces and everything automatically, right?
Yes, and along with
If
that, it's also going to provide you the comments. Okay, which
yes,
is like
yes.
a very good practice.
Because whenever obviously there are multiple brackets, there are so many closing brackets here, and if I wrap this with a text widget, right? So let me just wrap this with a text widget. So it is going to have another braces, another this round braces. If in case you want to separate those things, and which closing brace is for which opening brace, so it's saying that this one is for the container, so you'll be able to distinguish. So this is the formatting and the support that the IDE gives you while development, right? So if you are, if you press enter from here inside this thing, or you want to format this thing, if I'm giving a comma, it will automatically shift that particular line to the next line, and it will shift the braces as well. This is the some the formatting that Himanshu is talking about.
Right. So that's all about the formatting and everything. And one more thing, guys. Few of you might be wondering that above the pubspec.yml file, there is the pubspec.log file. Okay. So we'll just show you that exactly what does this file holds. Because many of you might be wondering that exactly, yeah, there is the one file named as pubspec.yml where we introduce the libraries. But what does this pubspec.log file does? Okay. So we'll just open it up and show you what it's holding. So yeah, Karan, please open this pubsec.log file.
Log file, right?
Yeah. Okay. So here, guys, you can directly see that whatever the libraries are being fetched, the complete information for that particular library is being stored here. Okay. Means it's going to actually hold each and everything, like its version, whatever the version it is running on. Then after that, the URL. Okay. Because that's the most important part, from where it's actually coming from. Okay. So that's the thing over here in the URL. Then version. Definitely, as you will develop the application, you're going to like introduce a new version in the Play Store App Store. In the similar way, when the library is being hosted on the Flutter community their website, okay, at that time they have to maintain the version. Because you can do like this, like consider you just introduced a new functionality to that particular code, okay, and a new user don't want to use that particular functionality because it don't even care that what new functionality is being introduced here, okay. So in the like below version, if it's not having that particular functionality, the user definitely can use that one. Okay, but there is one more thing. Like whenever the version are being switched from one version to another, at that time there's the one major thing, that is it's going to affect the Dart version in your system. Okay, because if you are running the lower Dart version and the library supports the higher one, okay, at the time it's going to conflict. So yeah, that's also one of the error you are going to face, and I would really like to tell you about that error. So you will see it in the another session though, because whenever you are going to use the libraries, okay, so they are going to conflict with each other, and they will just throw a new error because one library depends on another, and that particular library needs something else. So that's going to generate a lot of issues over there. So we will see it in the another one. But for now, guys, remember that pubspec.yml file is for the libraries which we are going to use in our application, whereas the pubspec.log file is going to hold the information for the particular library which is being used in pubspec.yml. Okay, so these are the things.
I think we have explained enough for today. I mean, for beginners and everything, what they can understand and what they can, accommodate inside their brains at this level, at this, they are learning fresh right now. So I think if you have any doubts, you can ask. I am calling
Yeah,
out the
guys.
chat. They can, just tell us in the chat if there's something. And session timing is also approaching, so that's why if there are, I think there are 10 minutes. And
Okay.
as yes,
Here's the
please now.
question from Mohit. What is SDK? So here it is. The SDK basically stands for the software development kit. Okay, it's actually having the tools inbuilt in it, so that you can directly just start with it. Okay, so that's a really a great question though, because lots of people is like facing this issue that what does SDK does. Okay, so just remember it as the group of tools being there which you can directly implement in your system and start using it. You don't have to like work on that first, build the SDK and then use. Yeah, definitely you can build the SDK and provide it to others if you are like building some complicated thing which is going to help the community. So in that condition, definitely you are going to like build your own SDK and distribute it over community and they can use it. That's it. Nothing else.
Right. So it's the Q&A is also open now, and we'll be wrapping up the session, and we'll be waiting for another 10 minutes, I suppose, for any chat or any doubts or any discussion that the viewers would want to raise. Right, Himanshu? I think we'll wrap up now.
Yeah, we'll just wrap up. Is there any question among you guys? Because it's time to wrap up. So we'll just have few questions over here and let's start today's session.
All right. So Himanshu, would you like to tell
Yeah,
this?
sure. Uh, Consider a thing. Okay, I'll just give you a short example for the stateful and stateless widget. Okay, so like consider you are having a text. Okay, there we have written like hello world. Okay, so now we are introducing a widget, that is the button widget on the screen. Okay, so now you want that particular user should interact with that button. Okay, so now the user is going to interact with that button. Now as the user interacts, the screen is as it is, means it's not going to change any value or anything else, because the screen is in the stateless, that is it already knows that okay, whatever is going on the screen, it's going to remain as it is, it's not going to change at all. But when we introduce the concept of the stateful, okay, so in that condition, there is one of the method known as the set state. Okay, so that's important method in the stateful though, because the thing is, guys, whenever we are going to like change the value of the text, like as I've given the example, if we consider a text and a button, and you want that particular button should change the particular text on that screen. Okay, so at that time you are going to use a function called as set state. Okay, and along with that, uh, as it is already in the stateful state, okay, so it's definitely going to change. So for better example, I will just consider calculator. Okay, so consider that you are having the complete layout for the calculator and you are just trying to press the button. Okay, but as you press the button, if the particular screen is in the stateless, in that condition nothing is going to happen. Okay, but if you consider in the case of stateful widget, in that condition, whenever you press a button, okay, so it's going to perform a specific operation over there. Okay, and it's going to change the text. That's what the difference between state and stateful is.
I hope that
uh,
answered your question.
Yeah, if still you didn't understand, I can give you another example. If it's clear, please do mention.
It seems that, I mean, after listening to this Himanshu's explanation, I think my concepts are clear. So I think he might have understood pretty much. When state got changed, the elements which are depends on it will re-render to reflect those changes. Right, right.
Right, right, definitely. It's going to re-render.
All right, so I'll invite Sanya to wrap up the session here, and I'll ask Sanya to join.
So thank you so much, Karan and Himanshu. The session was really insightful, and we all are ready with our basic step done for all the installation and other things to hop up to the journey of our Flutter. Apologies from my side for at the beginning of the session, my due to my technical inabilities, and we are now ready to install. We have installed, or otherwise, if we have not, we'll be resuming the session tomorrow and we will be solving all your queries and other things. Other than that, I will be sharing a feedback form um, with your on your mails as well as it is shown here. You can fill it till 10, as well as we will be sharing you quiz that will be a guaranteed for you to avail the certificates and other exciting prizes. So thank you so much for joining. Stay tuned, stay connected. See you. Thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much,
bye,
guys.
guys. Thank you so much for listening patiently, and we'll leave you here. So, bye, guys. Bye, Manchu. Bye, Sanya.
Bye, bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sumit.